I saw that a lot when I was a kid because my mom dated that guy that had all the animals.
Yeah.
And he had an anaconda at one point. That's not even like when I was a kid and people knew that we had an anaconda, they would always be like, dude, I got to see it. That's crazy. But it was like not that, it wasn't like the one from the movie Anaconda. It was, and it wasn't like a regular anaconda either. It was like a baby one. And it grew, right? It turned into like a fucking teenage anaconda or whatever you want to call it. Like it grew up.
Where does it go to the bathroom?
In there. Like there's like little spots, like it leaves little spots. It's not going to take a shit. Like it's not going to be a big old turd, but it leaves little spots and it's like sawdust. Well, you can have different things in there depending on what kind of animal it was. The anaconda had water and a stone, the same way the turtle would, the old turtle we had, but it was like a very little amount of water, and then it would sit up on this little rock that was there. But it was like a platform almost, not like a single rock. And so it would go in the water because anaconda, not all, like a rattlesnake wouldn't need water, right? But the anaconda would go in there and then it would come back up and like chill there. And but that wasn't even he had a boa, or I'm sorry, not a boa. He had a python that was huge, like. And I hate being inaccurate, and I suck at like lengths.
Especially when you're little, like you think things are bigger than they actually are.
But this one was, because I just remember people's reactions when they come over. Like, there's a giant fucking snake in there, and he didn't have a cage.
Oh, so it was just loose?
He just lived in the house. The apartment. It's a studio apartment.
And it would go to the bathroom in the house?
I don't know. I was a kid. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I really don't. But it just lived there, and it would just be places.
How long would you say it was? Like 6 feet?
Oh, no. 20s, in the 20s.
What?
Yes. And so.
Was it like thick?
Yes. Let me hold it up for the camera. Like literally like probably like this big around. So it was big. It was big. And we would see it eat stuff. We would feed stuff to it. And I was a kid, and it never did anything to me. My little brothers were smaller. But people would come over, right? Because we lived in kind of like a ghetto area. Mm-hmm. And like there'd be other animals because he had like 20 animals. He had a bunch of animals. And there'd be this giant snake that lived in there. And they would always go, what? Like, is there like a giant snake like just chilling on your floor? His name was Hercules. And like my mom's boyfriend at the time would just be like, that's Hercules. And like he would just be there. And as a kid, I thought it was cool. And I would play with it. I wasn't scared at all. As an adult, thinking back to it, I'm like, oh my God, that was so dangerous. Like that thing could have ate us. Like we weren't the biggest kids.
That's crazy.
But it never did. It was a nice thing. Rabbits, mice, rats. Yeah, rabbits. We fed it a rabbit one time, but they don't. It isn't like a regular thing. They eat a rabbit, and this one was so big that it would maybe eat like monthly. But you have like that little anaconda they have. They would feed it mice, like little, or when it was small, they call them pinkies, and it would like essentially like a baby, literally no fur, just a pink baby mouse. You would buy them at Pete's Pets here in town, and you would go and just feed them those, and they would just eat them.
Yeah.
But of course, the big one would eat rabbits, and it would eat the rabbit, and then they wouldn't feed it for a couple months.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You never felt scared of it at all?
No. Well, he had other animals, and throughout the years, he was addicted to animals.
Was he like Joe Exotic?
I pretty much lived with Joe Exotic if he didn't just like tigers. Yeah, he had all kinds of stuff. I think it's part of the reason why I identify with the show too, is because it's like, I wouldn't now, but as a kid, if someone just showed me a tiger, I'd be like, all right, you promise it's not going to, because kids just listen.
Yeah.
They see a tiger playing with an adult and they're like, are you sure? You say it, you're saying this is safe? All right, bring it on. And you kind of develop that. The same way a cub gets used to people, how we talked about it. Yeah. A baby human being around animals is going to get used to being around animals. And so I was. And so I never got attacked by anything. He did. He had a giant iguana. I forgot the iguana's name. But the iguana bit him on the arm one day and took a chunk of his arm out. He had to go to the hospital.
Really?
And he was all about it. He was like, oh, like he had a scar. He would show everyone. He was all happy. And I remember thinking like, what the fuck? Like that, that could happen to me. And one day I did get bit by a pet rat, which is not when people hear rat, they think of like the greasy giant ones in New York or whatever, the ones they see outside. Yeah. This is a domesticated rat. You know what I mean? Because they bought it from a pet store. And so it wasn't like a dirty rat, but he had rats as pets that he would sometimes eventually feed to some of the other animals. And one day, I forgot the rat's name. God, I wish I remembered it. But I knew it wasn't the nicest rat, and it was all white. It had those fucking red eyes, like the blood red eyes. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
They look scary. And I was in charge of feeding them. And so it's like pellets. They would eat little pellets. And so I was trying to refill it, and I put my hand on top of the cage, and it jumped up like real quick, and it like bit my finger. The little rat did. and they have like just 2 teeth. That's all. I mean, they might have more, but they have those 2, and it pinched. Like the way it nicked me, it pinched. It didn't take a chunk out, but it had like these 2 incisions where it got my finger. And as a kid, I remember that's the only time I ever got attacked by any of them. And then it freaked me out a little bit. And I remember thinking like it was a check, like for me as a kid. I was like, damn, I can't be around like these animals, specifically that rat. But like I started realizing my own mortality. I'm like, damn, any of these animals could get me at any point.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy that you were around that many animals at one time.
It was hard to tell people when I got taken out of that home and put in foster care.
Yeah.
Because people, it sounds made up. I think that now that people see like that show, they're like, oh, this is like possible.
Yeah.
But he lived here in New Mexico in Las Cruces. And this was a guy that had his own issues. He thought he had mental health issues for sure. He thought he was a licensed herpetologist, which is the study of reptiles. And so he thought, because he was mentally ill, that he could have these exotic animals like in his home or in our apartment.
Mm-hmm. Did they ever know? Like
we would constantly get in trouble. At one point, he had a pig, and we couldn't fit it in the house, and so we put it in front of the house, and that's what got him popped for the first time. Was people were like, "Hey, this guy like down like his apartment building, like, hey, this guy in apartment fucking C or whatever it was has a pig in front of his house." And they came over to tell him about his pig not being there, and they saw a bunch of other animals. He had to get rid of a bunch, and so he moved and then got them back.
Yeah.
And he would keep in mind he didn't have a job, and neither did my mom, and so they would use government funding to buy these animals. They were getting obviously food stamps for us, but they would use those food stamps to buy food for the animals, and they were getting what's the one where they give you money?
Oh, TANF for welfare.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not just they were getting food help, like food stamps.
Yeah.
They're also getting like a certain allotment of cash because neither one of them worked, and all that money would be spent on animals. And so when the new money was coming in, he would always say like, next Thursday when we get our check, we're gonna go buy this Italian lizard or something. And he has so many animals. He had fish tanks. He had a piranha at one point, a shark, which like a baby shark. We had a baby shark at one point. Mm-hmm. But he had a tank full of stuff, and he was not a herpetologist. So these animals, like he put like a shark in with a piranha, like with other. At one point, he mixed like a saltwater and a freshwater like fish, and like killed like a lot of them that he spent like hundreds of dollars on. And so he just didn't know what he was doing.
That's crazy.
And this is before the internet, so like right now we could just Google what to do.
Yeah.
But he was winging it. And so there's tons of animals. That's how I knew what the lizard was that you were talking about, the monitor lizard.
You guys had one too?
He had 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Samson and Delilah. Like he would always name them after the Bible, which is Hercules, which obviously not in the Bible, but it was a Greek mythology god.
Yeah.
He would name them after Greek mythology characters, Bible characters, or whatever. Like he's just a weird guy. Yeah. But yeah, he had Savannah and not Savannah. Sorry, but what did I say? What was the names? Damn it! I just said them.
I don't remember. What's
the dude where they cut his hair off? And
I've never read the Bible.
What?
Like I don't know.
You never went to church? Why am I blanking? Samson and Delilah. I think that was the dude where they cut his hair off, right? He had all his power in his hair. God told him like and then the girl found out and cut his hair, like while he was sleeping.
I never heard of that.
You got to read the Bible, girl.
Maybe you can read it to me at night.
No, never again. That was when I was a kid. My grandma used to make me go to church.
Yeah.
And used to make us like study certain like things.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had all kinds of lizards and did all kinds. He'd even write his license number on the cage, which he made up. He didn't have a license.
Yeah.
But people thought he did. He presented. This is how crazy this was. And I don't want to say the name of the elementary school because I don't want to get them in trouble. This is years ago. But I went to a local elementary school here in Las Cruces. And he presented to the school these animals. I don't know how. One of the teacher's son, I think, was in my grade and came over to my house. It was a kid because a lot of kids came over to my house. One of the kids, anyways, was a relative, was a faculty, and they said, hey, there's this guy that he's a licensed herpetologist. He's legit. He's got his number up on the cage and everything. And they're like, that'd be cool if he came and did a demonstration for the school. And so the school paid him to come to the school and show off these animals. And he's just a regular dude in a wheelchair, which he's not really in, by the way. He could walk. He was in a wheelchair. And he presented all these animals to the kids, all of us, which they didn't check the number. Like they didn't like verify his license or anything. And he came to school.
Did he have like the kids like play with the animals or touch them?
He at one point put a snake on the ground that came at us, and he held the tail, and like it was coming at like if he let go, like the snake would have got us.
Yeah. That's
Damn
so
it!
crazy.
Like I wish I could say the name of it because people that like hear it will be like, "Damn it!" Well, people that know me that went to like elementary school with me, they're like, "I remember when he did that."
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing because he wore these tight shorts. This is back like in 2000, like literally 2000, I think, or 99 or 2000. I don't remember whenever I was in elementary school. And he had these really tight shorts, and like sometimes his balls would fall out. Like it did it during the demonstration with the kids, but that's how he was. And he like didn't know. Like it would happen at the house all the time. His balls would just fall out like of his shorts. We thought he was in a wheelchair at the time because he was in a wheelchair. Turns out later on he made the whole thing up.
Yeah.
He was just pretending to be in a wheelchair. And so at school there was like moments where his balls are about to pop out. And like all the other kids made fun of me and they're like, "Your dad's balls are about to pop out." I was all embarrassed.
That is embarrassing. I kind of wish I was able to meet him. He sounds like a character.
You don't want to meet that guy.
Yeah.
He I don't know what happened to him, but
yeah.
You know, for the longest time I would always say, if I ever saw that guy, I'd fuck him up. I'd always say that. For the longest time. But I think I'm at a point now where it's like I don't think I would. Like I think that like I'm like I would definitely not like him. I definitely wouldn't feel safe with anyone that I know around him.
Yeah.
But I think I would not. Like I think I'd just be like, dude, you're not worth my time. Like I'll just move on with my life. But as a kid, like he was terrible. He was a terrible person. And so like I would always say that, and I felt like it was normal. Because I feel like people, I'm like, once they know what he did, they would agree. And most people would. You know what I mean? But it's just a weird mindset.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I live with a real life Joe Exotic, or my version of it. If my brother's listening to this podcast, he's going to be either one of them, Josh or Colin. They're going to be like, yeah, I remember that shit.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell people because it sounds made up. He had owls. He had hawks.
An owl?
Yes. No, I shouldn't have said owl. He had hawks. He had birds. He had hawks. At one point, he had a falcon. He had a falcon with like 1 foot, I think. Like he bought it from like a store and they were going to get rid of it because like 1 foot had to get amputated. So it was like a falcon with 1 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just had weird stuff that we should not have had in the house. And how I got out of that, literally unscathed, except for the rat that bit my finger the one time, I have no idea. I don't know how.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're really good with animals, though. I feel like dogs.
Really? What animals? Yeah, dogs. Because
Yeah.
I like people and I like life forms. Like I like love and I like compassion and I like interactions and stuff like that. So a dog is easy. If someone doesn't like dogs, something's wrong with that person, right?
Yeah.
But a lizard or a snake, it's when people hate. A lot of people hate snakes, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But what's? I mean, there's also animals, right? Would you be scared of a snake?
Yeah, I remember that one time I held one at that when we went hiking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't look scared though.
I was scared. I didn't want to touch it. But I think in that situation, like I knew that the person that was giving it to me like knew a lot about it, so I was fine.
That's me as the kid.
Yeah.
Like this person, they would not just hand me a giant snake that'll murder me, right?
Yeah. But then, like, anything could happen, I guess.
Anything
right?
can happen.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Even people.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that clip, click on this link right over here to subscribe to this clip's channel. Or if you want to view the entire conversation, go ahead and click on this link over here to view the entire podcast. Bet you on the next one, guys.